So I'm with Mary Lewis, who is the statutory lead member for children at Surrey County Council. And we had our full council meeting yesterday, and there was a hell of a lot of discussion around children's centres and so on. And I have to say, in my inbox, that's pretty much what I'm getting, the type of communication I'm getting from residents at the moment. Now, Mary, there's some key messages that we want to get out to residents about children's centres. There's understandably a lot of concern about it, but you have a wonderful way of explaining exactly what is happening and what we're trying to achieve, and I was wondering if you could share that with residents.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you for the flattery as well at the beginning of the interview. Always works. I will try to do my best to explain, because we've been dealing with a very difficult budget situation, and somehow the changes to children's centres have got put totally into budget.
Yes.
And of course the budget is the context of everything we do, but
Yes.
there are other reasons for what we're doing as well, and I think it's important that we get the rounded picture. So in 2014 and 2018, we were told very loud and clear by the regulators, Ofsted, that we're not giving the right care and protection to the children that need it. We're talking here about in the area of safeguarding. I think in a way, talking about vulnerable children is a euphemism. We're talking about children that live in neglect, that live in families where there's violence, in families that can't or won't parent them. And when we think about it, and we've been told that we're not looking after those children well enough, then I think it's absolutely our moral obligation, as well as every other kind of obligation, to think of some different way that we can look after them properly. And if we keep doing everything in exactly the same way we did it before, we are likely to get exactly the same result. We know that from our own lives, don't we? So we've been looking at a huge transformation in the way we spend our money in children's services. And what we've discovered is a lot of the work we do is not work that's targeted carefully towards the most vulnerable children that no one else is looking after. So no one's saying that what happens in children's centres isn't good work, valuable work and so on, but it's not reaching the children that need our care and protection. And as a county council, that's where our statutory duties lie. So we've said that what we're going to do is pull out of some of our children's centres so that we can retarget our resources and focus on an outreach service that goes to the most vulnerable children and families. And what we'll do in those families is, as soon as we're aware of them, which should be from when the baby's born, let's face it, because the health visitors will know from the start where things are really tricky, that we get in there quickly and we put support in to help the adults to be able to parent their children. So that will be a combined effort from different professionals, people that are experts on helping with alcoholism, domestic abuse, really severe adult mental health issues, all the sort of things that prevent families from parenting children effectively. Because what we believe is that if we make families more resilient and tougher and able to deal with their own issues, they can then parent their own children, which is the ideal situation, isn't it? We don't want to be in a society when the state's taking over children's lives unnecessarily. So the support will be for families, making them tougher, more resilient and able to parent their own children. And to get our resources targeted at that, it has to be an outreach service, because those aren't the families that come to children's centres. Now, some of the really good things that go on in children's centres, like baby weigh-ins and stay and plays and all that sort of thing, they can all continue. In fact, our partner agencies like the Health Service have a statutory obligation to deliver baby weigh-ins. So wherever it is that they decide to do it, in a community hall, or in fact the sort of places they did those things before children's centres even existed, those things will continue, and around the baby weigh-in will grow up a stay and play, which can be done by the voluntary sector. But it doesn't have to be delivered by a statutory children's social care service, which is what we should be doing and doing properly. So if we were doing our children's social care really well and we were an outstanding service, then I would understand why people would think, well, why are you bothering changing all these things? It's just about budgets. But it's not just about budgets, it's about children, it's just about children, and it's just about getting our services to the children that need protection and making sure that they don't live too long in neglect. And we didn't really need Ofsted to tell us that we weren't doing this properly, because we have a fantastic army of foster carers who work for the county council, and they've been telling us for ages, when we get children finally coming into care after years of neglect, it makes it really, really tough to change their life chances, so much much has happened to them, the level of trauma they've experienced. We mustn't keep leaving children in neglect for too long. What we need to do is to go into those families, do what we can and make decisions quickly. If this family is never going to be resilient enough to care for this child, the child will come into care early, not later when years of time has elapsed and damage has happened. And we should take fewer children into care, but it should be the ones that really need it coming in early. And other families should benefit from real wraparound support to help them to bring up their children on their own.
Mary, that's very well explained. I think certainly in my area there's a lot of political suppose people trying to take opportunity from the current economic climate and austerity and all the rest of it. I think really, if you have would you say that for residents who have genuine concerns about what agenda is trying to be pushed forward from a transformation point of view, if you have any concerns, contact your local member who will then get the question to you and answered properly in a concise way. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that, and
Yeah.
I do also think that it is political opportunism up to a point, but also it's just lack of understanding.
Yes.
I think when you look at the big transformation of children's services and you see the jigsaw of different changes that we're trying to make, this is just one element. And if you just talk about children's centres on their own, I can see it doesn't sound good, but it's about changing the model of social care to a family resilience model, targeting help to those that need it most and getting that help to them where they are in their homes, in their communities. Alongside that, we're doing all kinds of innovative things like setting up a new children's workers academy, which will work for new entrants into the health service, the police, social care, so they all get trained together. And we launched that a couple of weeks ago, but it's already started delivering training. And so if I trained as a social worker, which I didn't, I was a teacher actually, or so say I was training as a teacher, I would know other people of who are starting the profession the same time that I was starting my profession. They'd be my cohort, if you like. They'd be my go-to people. I'd understand the jobs they did. I'd be able to talk to them if I needed support. So training people together who work with children so that it's much more joined up. So the health visitor talks to the social worker talks to the GP, the teacher talks to everybody. And therefore, we're talking about something that actually keeps children safe, because keeping children safe is everybody's business. And we have to get to the point where all partners accept it's their business, that everyone in every agency accepts that keeping children safe is their business, and that we all work together to deliver that better in Surrey.
Mary Lewis, thank you very much.